This is the Sigma BF camera, and it's Sigma's latest attempt at creating sort of a minimalist Lux style camera. But what I want to know is this good for travel, hiking, and landscape photography? Well, today we're going to try and find that out. Let me preface this with, I did like using this camera. With that being said, strictly in a landscape photography scenario, it wasn't my favorite experience. And for at least me, I would go so far to say that it made me not even want to take a landscape photo. Now, it's most likely me and my inexperience with the camera, but I wasn't blown away by the quality of the image. So I don't know if I would use this if my intent was to print images, but there still is a pro about it, and it's fun to use. I like using the different picture profiles it has, and I can see how it would be great for a lot of people, but maybe it's just not a camera for me. I've been using this camera for a little while now and just have some thoughts. It's not really for me, but I can see who it's for. There's a simplicity in this minimalist design that's, if you're just someone traveling and you're with a family or a friend and you want to take high quality photos and you don't want to use your phone because you like the feeling of a camera, this might be a great camera for you. But if you're someone that needs the versatility of a traditional like Sony a7 IV, it does feel kind of weird in my hands. Like all these menu buttons, they definitely allow me to get to what I need to edit the photo in the way I want it to be, but it's just a little bit too simple for me. So nothing wrong with that, but more of a hobbyist sort of niche luxe item than a passionate photographer item. It's all, but it is fun to use. So I mean, there's that. Like I am having fun using this. So I am going to go over the pros and cons of this camera, but before we do that, we're at the Cornell Botanical Gardens, and I wanted to test it with some macro photography. Now I know this is not a true macro photography setup, but I like doing macro stuff anyways. One of the coolest things I liked about this is using a manual focus. It actually has this like little red highlights that you can't really see here that helps you tell what part of your subject's in focus. So I actually really enjoyed using this camera with macro photography. So I'm just gonna go ahead and play a few of the test photos from my walk in the Botanical Gardens. Now, one thing I did not get to test much is portrait photography. I'm not sure if I would use this as a professional portrait photographer or wedding photographer. However, with the picture profiles and the simplicity, I can definitely see how it might be great to capture friends and family on, like, let's say a vacation or a trip. Now let's dive right into the pros and cons I have about this camera. First off, the Sigma BF is tiny for a full frame camera. It weighs about 388 grams, which makes it lighter than most bottles of water. Now, you would think that makes it super easy and lightweight to travel with, and it is when it's in the backpack or on a strap, but if you're someone who likes to hold your camera in your hand at all times like me, it's not the most comfortable body to hold. As you can see, it's just a very sleek, minimalist design with this little like grip thing right here. The sensor on this is a 24.6 megapixel sensor, so that falls in line with most entry-level full-frame cameras, similar to like a Sony a7 IV, but not as crazy as a Sony R series camera. Anything around 24 megapixels though, if you're a hobbyist, it's gonna be more than enough. And it's a very, I mean, as minimalist of a design for the capabilities the camera has as it can possibly have. One of the downsides, or pros, depending how you look at it, because of the minimalist design, it doesn't have an external memory slot. So it's built-in memory, but it does have 230 gigabytes of internal memory, so that should be more than enough. Now for some of the downsides, as you can see, there's no viewfinder, just a screen. Pro, con, depending on you. For me, it doesn't really matter too much. I guess in the sense is if it's really bright and I want to look at an image in my Sony a7 IV, I can just look in the viewfinder and get a pretty good idea of what it might look like. But I noticed when I was looking out in the field and looking at the image I was taking, if it's bright out, it's hard to tell what I'm looking at, which, you know, can be a pretty big downside in a lot of scenarios. For me, there's two other downsides. There's no flippy screen. Again, why would there be a flippy screen on a minimalist camera? Does it make sense? So if you're looking for a minimalist camera, probably not really looking for one, but I love my flippy screen, so it is what it is. And lastly, this might be a little bit of a bigger one for those beginners out there. It doesn't have in-body image stabilization. So if you're new and you're kind of shaky, make sure you're cranking up that exposure so you're not shooting at like 1/60th of a second. Otherwise, you're gonna get a little bit of camera blur from motion. And this question gets asked to me a lot. Do I need IBIS? Yes, no. As time goes on, you're gonna develop muscle memory to be able to hold your camera more still. So the more and more you practice, that muscle memory develops, and the less you'll need IBIS for photography at least. The Sigma BF is kind of a you love it or you hate it kind of camera. It's definitely beautifully designed. It's very minimalist, very sleek, and feels like a premium quality product. If you're someone that wants to take high quality photos with a camera, but don't want to deal with a Sony a7 IV or learning all the bits and bobs of it, this might be the perfect camera for you. Throwing everything into auto and just using it as a point and shoot camera, especially when you're hiking and traveling with friends, it could be really fun. I had a lot of fun with it. It's not a camera that I personally would use all the time, but let's say I was going on a trip where I didn't want to take a bunch of camera gear and I still want to take high quality photos, but I didn't want to focus on photography and take away from experiencing that trip. I think I'd consider a camera like this. Like I said, this is my first time using a minimalist camera. It was very, very, very fun to use. I definitely see the pros of it. There are situations where I would pick up a camera like this for a shoot, but most of the time, I'm probably gonna go with my other cameras. Anyways, let me know if you have any questions about this camera. I had a blast using it. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.